Dandelion Cafe. Sadly, you're not here, so we thought we'd treat you to another one of our little cooking demos. And after all, we're in lockdown, everyone's a bit cheesed off, so we thought it's time to have a wee sweet treat. So today we're making tasty pastry, and it's a bit of a rummage in the store cupboard, so nothing fancy but lots of flavour. So Anne is going to show us how to make chocolate, hazelnut and pear galette. So over to you, Anne. So Anne, tell us how we're going to go about making our galettes today.
Okay, well, what I've got today is a bit store cupboard-tastic, and we've got just some basic things that you could have kicking about the house. So we've got a bit of Nutella, some hazelnuts, we've got apricot jam, that's a tin of pears, and we've got a little roll of puff pastry and an egg.
Fab. And you've got puff pastry there. Is that what you normally would use in a galette?
I would say for ease today, yes, you can use a bit of puff pastry, but traditionally I would say you would make your own pastry, but we're not getting into making our own pastry today because it's a 10-minute wonder.
What do we do first?
Okay, first things first, don't forget to preheat your oven. So I would say it's about 200, which is right about gas mark 6. It's quite a hot oven for your pastry. If you've got a fan oven, we're going kind of 180. Next up, we're going to roast the old hazelnuts.
And that's whole hazelnuts or
whole
chopped?
Hazelnuts.
Right.
Because, well, you know, if you want to skip a step, then you could buy pre-roasted chopped hazelnuts. But you know what, we're just going to do things properly. So hazelnuts have got a bit of skin on the outside. So what we want to do is we want to roast those. I'm just going to put them into a tray, and we're going to roast those again just at 200. For about 8 to 10 minutes, just to get the skins to loosen. So I'm just going to set my timer for the hazelnuts for 10 minutes.
So Anne, looks like you've got really fancy catering equipment there of a plastic bowl.
We're going very high end here, it's Michelin starred, and it's a plastic bowl.
Fancy.
So this is the bowl that we use to cut our pastries out with. So we're not talking about any kind of complicated kitchen equipment. It's just something. So you could use a saucer or a side plate. This is quite a good size. So I'm just going to get 2 of these out here. I think. Just like that.
And to be honest, they're quite rich, aren't they? So probably 2 would be enough, even for me.
Well, we're going to have 1 each, Mairi, 1 each.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so that's that. And just take your pastry away, and you know, there's not so much you can do with this because once puff pastry is rolled out, if you squash it together and try and use it again, it doesn't really rise properly. So, that's my timer going.
The hazelnuts are roasted and toasted.
However, what you can do is if you've got kids, give them this little bit and they can roll it out and make some little jam tarts and things like that. So
that's cute. Or what we end up doing is usually putting a heart on just about everything, don't we? Our pastry hearts,
so
baked with love and all that.
Pop that to the side. Okay, so that's these here.
So Anne,
yes,
I do believe your hazelnuts are roasted beautifely and out of the oven.
They're out of the oven. So
do you have any wee handy hints in a sort of Molly Weir style of always?
Never seen before.
No.
To the human eye. So these are roasted, but what you can see now is that they've got a bit darker, and you've still got the skin of the hazelnuts on the outside, which is they're not very nice. So you just want to get rid of those. So if you just get yourself a clean tea towel. On the old surface, and just roll these in here. Okay, so you're just gonna put them in, and if you roll your nuts around.
Lovely.
And they're warm and stuff. And what should happen is if you kind of rumble them around a bit in your tea towel.
I'm hoping the breaks on your trolley.
As I get nearer and nearer to you. That's still 2 meters though.
Still 2 meters and then some.
Okay, so if you rumble them around a bit, what should happen is when you take one's escaping. When you take the tea, open the tea towel.
Ooh, look at that.
There you are. All the horrible,
lovely. All the grotty bits are gone.
And all the nice toasted nuts are here. So
beautiful.
You just want to take these out, separate that all away, and we'll do that, and then we can chop these up.
So Anne, normally we'd be chopping our nuts with a knife, I would imagine.
We would.
But we've been feeling a bit stressed with the whole lockdown situation, haven't we? So we thought we might relieve some of our stress by bashing the blazes out of the nuts with their own bin.
Slightly experimental. I've just got my old tea towel back from when I used it earlier.
Lovely.
And I'm going to go on here because it's a bit more
It's not as
surface.
rolly as the
So
trolley.
just, you know, channel your own thoughts here. Homeschooling, working from home, whatever it is, and just give it your...
Oh.
That was homeschooling.
That was homeschooling, yep.
Here we go.
I've got a few suggestions as well.
Okay,
Oh,
here we
dear.
are. So,
That was the general working in hospitality and lockdown, wasn't it?
oh, look at that.
Oh,
Lovely. There we go.
delightful.
So, scoop up your nuts. We're just going to pop them in there. And then we can keep those aside and they are for later.
Lovely.
Okay?
So we're back in Galette land,
Hi
and
there.
I'm going to ask you a chefy question,
Yep.
which is not like us to ask a professional question, but there you go. It's
Not
first
when
time for
Not when
everything.
you and I are working together.
No,
you know.
exactly.
Mhm.
So Anne, do
Right.
tell, what
Yes.
is the difference between a galette and a pie?
Okay, well, a galette is traditionally a French pastry, and I had to look at this earlier because I thought I might be put on the spot. So, gale is the French word for a flat-bottomed pastry,
Oh,
but it's also traditionally quite free-form, so you're not using a pie tin or any kind of fancy equipment. So you can knock this out just on a flat tray, and all we're going to be doing is kind of folding the sides in quite kind of rustically, and that is what a galette is. Okay, so next bit is we're just going to, I was going to say dot, but that's not really the right word, is
we
it?
can dod in a tail.
We're going to dot it on just into the middle because we want to keep all our filling in the middle because we're going to freeform our pie and roll it all in. Okay, so I've just transferred the pastries with the spread onto a baking tray with just a bit of parchment paper, and sometimes it's easier just to do the last bit while it's on the tray rather than making it and then moving it over. It's a bit more. So I've just got I've just used tin pears because they're cheaper and they're easy, but you can use fresh pear, and you can use fresh pear that's not being cooked. You can just use raw pear and slice it and put it straight in if you want, but this is just easy and there's no wastage. So I'm just going to slice this guy through the middle and then just fold it over kind of like that. Okay, and just use your knife to scoop that up. Put it on here. Okay, so just at a little bit of an angle. Okay, so next up, I'm just going to egg wash the pastry. So we just need one egg.
And if you were doing a vegan version, what could you do
so
instead of an egg wash?
You can do like just with some soya milk or oat milk, or even something like coconut oil is quite good. If you melt a little bit of coconut oil and just brush it on, it never quite gets the same kind of colour, but it'll still make it look better than if you just don't put anything on, kind of thing. So just got an egg, just give it a bit of a whiz round with your pastry brush. And this is just to kind of the glue that will hold your pastry together and then give it a nice kind of shiny finish in the
And
oven.
is that a whole egg?
That's a whole egg. Okay, so just a wee brush round here. So again, that's why you're leaving your filling is always in the middle. We've done these before with like apples with frangipan. You can do savoury ones with cheese and ham, a bit of mustard, things like that. So I'm just going to go like that. Okay. So this is just making it from a kind of flat disc into a galette. So all you're doing is just taking, you're just kind of folding it in, but it's just really kind of freestyle, and it's just folding each corner, folding each bit in. I mean, there's not a corner in a circle. I'm just turning that round as I go. And you're just folding the edges in and making a kind of, what would you call that, Maggie?
It makes me actually think of, you know when they come out of the box at the beginning, is it Trumpton or Camper Green?
Oh yes.
Is it the top of the music box that they do that with?
So
Showing my
yeah,
vintage
so
again.
you're just folding it in. So you're kind of pressing and folding, pressing and folding. So this is quite tight, but as the pastry cooks, what will happen is it kind of almost melts, and it'll make a bigger pastry that's a bit less structured. But if they look like this before they go into the oven, then you're onto a good thing. And you can still see your pear there in the nice slices. And what I'm going to do now is just egg wash that again. Okay, so pastries are ready. We're going to pop them in the oven. I would give them about 15 minutes and then check them and see how they are. But well, let's go 15 minutes to start off. Okay, so on the top shelf there. So timer's going off. Let's have a wee look and see.
So how long have you had that in the oven for?
Well, so I said 15 minutes, but I gave it a wee extra 4 or 5 minutes. But I always do slightly less so you can check them rather than opening the oven at 20 minutes and going up.
Towering Inferno, yes.
Yes.
Steve McQueen's not available.
So, here we go.
Ooh, they look great.
So, that is our baked galettes. So, they've kept their shape quite well, but they're, they're nice and freeform. I think they look lovely.
They do look lovely. So what do we do next?
Now we're going to give them a wee easy glaze.
Lovely.
Okay, so apricot jam. I'm just going to put a good big tablespoon.
And that's just your bog standard
that is
apricot jam.
Cheap as you like. Like, I don't know how much that is, like 70p or something.
So I always have the is it apricot or apricot dilemma.
I'm an apricot girl.
Are you?
Yeah, what about you? You're quite posh, so.
Oh, that's me, yeah.
All over.
Princess, fabulous. I think I'm wearing apricot. Oh, it's a crowd divider. We can all vote on it later.
Right, I'm going to pop this in the microwave.
Oh, let's do that.
Okay.
So we're in the microwave.
We are.
Very exciting.
The microwave.
Japanese oven.
Yes, and we're just giving this, I've given it about a minute, and it just bubbles a bit, and it just makes it spreadable so we can give our pastries a nice glaze. It's not an essential part of the process, but it's quite makes them look quite professional, which we like.
Flipping heck, that is molten, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you...
Okay, we'll carefully take that back through, shall we?
Okay, let's go. It's like a nice glaze, and I'm just going to brush that quite liberally onto your pastries. It gives it a really nice finish. You can do a bit over here.
That does. If you look at the one that's done, the one that isn't.
Yeah.
It's glistening and golden, as opposed to.
Yeah.
Beige and functional.
Nobody likes beige and functional.
Nobody wants that.
Okay, so that's that one. So this cools down quite quickly, so just work away quickly. Give it a nice brush.
Fab.
Okay.
And meanwhile, people should have brought back their chopped hazelnuts as well, ready.
So I'm just going to give it. Okay, something like that.
They look fab.
Okay, so that's that. And then these are just for an extra bit of crunch and a nice bit of flavour and texture, and just a kind of sprinkle over the top, really. Don't go nothing too crazy, but it is a nice wee added extra. So we're nearly there. We've glazed them, the chopped nuts are on. I'm just going to give it a wee final little dust of icing sugar, just to give it a wee finish. And just onto our plate and ready to go.
Oh, they look fab. Shall we eat them?
Yes, please. So there you go, pear, chocolate and hazelnut galettes. So easy to make. Please give them a try. And coming up now is the recipe and the ingredients for you to try them on. Okay, give them.
Lick me, drink me, love me, kiss me. Kimberly's popsicle. Kimberly's popsicle. Lick me, drink me, love me, kiss me. Kimberly's popsicle. Kimberly's popsicle. I'm about on you to the beat of just one jump. What might be right for you may not be right for some. That girl's washed up at the age of 17 when she thought she were ready to sit down queen. Takes that slippery slide before it's out of her eyes. She can't get it nowhere, no matter what she tries, no matter how she tries. Lick me, drink popsicle. Lick